What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today, very similar to the video that we uploaded yesterday, we're going to be going through every single Garp challenge, the 10-star difficulty, with my man, Monkey D. Luffy Snakeman, the brand new character that just arrived, the Sugo Fest exclusive. Now, I've already actually used him to clear the Whitebeard challenge, I do believe it was, that I've already uploaded. But this time around, the team is shuffled around a little bit in order to actually complete not only the Whitebeard challenge, but also the Revolutionary Army #1 and also the Doflamingo challenge #1. Now this team actually does stall quite a bit because we utilize the Ivankov Bon Clay character, which is a very useful unit. We'll talk more about the team once we get into it. But in terms of the key support units for this team, the only unit that I would say is a pretty much a character you need to have on the team is going to be the version 1 Rayleigh attached to Luffy as the support character for utility. If you don't have him though, I'm pretty sure you can still get through without too many problems. There is going to be a stage on the Revolutionary Army stage where you do get binded in your captains, and basically you can save the Ivankov and Bon Clay special for a later stage if you need a little bit of heal out of that. But if not, you can just use something else. It really doesn't actually matter that if you have it or not, but either way, just running stat boosters along the way. I do have Bello Betty attached to Ivankov Bon Clay to give them additional attack and recovery, because Bello Betty adds 9% of her attack and recovery to the unit, which is really good. But of course, any other stat boosters is going to be really good. But I guess with that further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So first thing is first, we're going to be going ahead and taking on the Doflamingo challenge. Of course, we're going to go from Dofi to the Rev and then the Whitebeard challenge. So of course, with the Doflamingo challenge, the thing that you had to overcome in early stages was the mass amount of despair that was going to get inflicted, which is why we've got the Ivankov and Bon Clay. But the thing about this stage is you get despaired for like 7 turns in like 2 different stages, so you literally need their special back up again. And stalling can be quite difficult to get their special back up, but in order to get your special back up, we've also got, you know, obviously their switch effect of Ivankov and Bon Clay to give you the 20% damage reduction, and then you've got the switch effect of Vivian Rebecca, which can give you an additional 2,000 heal per turn, so getting 3,000 heal per turn, and then the 20% damage reduction. It's not going to allow you to stall forever, but it is quite nice to have, just being able to stall for a decent amount of time. And then if you are at relatively low HP, you can actually hit a few perfects with the Snakeman, I think Vivi Rebecca, and also Usohachi. All of those characters have pinch healing, so, you know, when you are at low HP, you can actually get a lot of health back, especially if you've switched with Vivi and Rebecca on that turn, having 3,000 heal with auto heal and then their switch effect, and you can get up to like, what, 2 to 3, maybe 4,000 heal just with pinch healing with those 4 characters. It's actually kind of crazy how much health you can get back, especially at low health. And then of course you got the damage reduction with Ivankov Bon Clay, which is actually pretty good. And then on this stage with Rebecca, I was kind of nervous about, you know, having to deal with this quick enemy here, so just being able to super type to ensure that our strength characters actually, you know, it means that the damage dealt to the quick enemies is kind of mitigated a bit, which is kind of nice to have for sure. And then this stage here, stage 4 of the Doflamingo challenge, is always the hardest one to get through. But essentially, once you get through this stage, and as long as you got enough HP to like either tank some hits on the following turn, or a really good way to remove the despair on the following turn, you're not really going to be having too many issues from here on out. One of the really cool things that that Snakeman has is that when you launch his special ability, so not only does it obviously give you the full board of matching orbs, and it gives you a 2.5 orb boost. Everyone knows that effect. However, a lot of things that people overlook is the damage that he does when he launches his special. Now, it does a really good amount of damage. I think it's at least 200 times his attack. But the really cool thing is that it bypasses all defensive effects, including base defense. So when we reach the final stage and we launch the Snakeman special, it actually KOs those 2 characters that are right beside Doflamingo that typically have really high defense, and most damaging specials do not kill them unless if it is fixed damage. But because Luffy's damage bypasses base defense, it will literally just kill them. It's actually pretty absurd how strong that special ability is. And then at that point, we literally just have no one on the field except for Doflamingo. And then especially once you have, you know, your super type active, a 2.5 orb boost, and a 2 times attack boost, it's just GG at that point. So I'll leave you guys with the rest of this clip, and we'll pick things up once we reach the Revolutionary Army. So against the Revolutionary Army, this is where the version 1 rally support is really good here, because on stage 3 we're up against Robin, and we get our captains binded for 5 turns. Now we could use the Ivankov Bond Clay special to remove that, but again, we do need them a little bit later on against the Karasu stage and against Lindbergh, but you don't really have to use the rally support. You can literally just use, you know, the Ivankov Bond Clay special there if you want to, but it is what it is. You just saying you don't really need it if you don't want it, but it's nice to have anyway. And then again for this stage against Kuma is going to be on stage 2, so to get rid of his base defense, that's why we've got Usohachi. Usohachi will also be very, very good against the Whitebeard challenge, which you guys will be seeing a little bit later on. And once again, Vivian and Rebecca just having that really powerful switch effect for healing and the 2.5 times chain lock, so it's a really good offensive and defensive switch effect, and I think most people would agree that it is probably the best switch effect in the game. I mean, there are other really, really good switch effects. I mean, you could probably say that, you know, Bato and Cavendish's is still a really, really good switch effect. I mean, Shanks' crew is up there as well in terms of having really amazing switch effects. Also, Mihawk and Perona, a really good switch effect, but I think in a lot of cases, like Vivian and Rebecca are just as good as what they are because of that amazing switch effect. As I said, really good offensively and defensively at the same time. And I guess Mihawk and Perona are kind of in that same vein, but with Vivian and Rebecca, you actually get more heal out of it. But the thing about Mihawk and Perona is it like it gives you a flat 1500 heal on the spot, whereas with Vivian and Rebecca, it's 2000 heal at the end of the turn. So if you have like double Vivian and Rebecca, you can't get both of their heals to activate, whereas if you've got Mihawk and Perona, you can actually switch both in the same turn. You can get both their heals. So it's give and take with the effects, but I still think that overall, I do prefer Vivian and Rebecca, and I personally do think that Vivian and Rebecca is like, you know, top 2 best switch effects in the game, because I just think Shanks' crew as well is just way too good. Just a free 1.5 attack boost and 3 guaranteed matching slots if they're using him as a sub. If they're a captain, you get 2 guaranteed matching slots. Like, that is absolutely bonkers, especially with, you know, when you have Shanks' crew, it's either like a 3.25 or a 3.5 captain, and then you basically have a 1.5 attack boost every single turn. You're generating lots of matching slots. I mean, I digress about Shanks' crew. He is arguably the best legend in the game. I still think that Shanks' crew is the best legend in the game. You know, I still think these super types are amazing, but Shanks' crew is still on a slight level above, in my opinion anyways. I mean, people probably disagree, and that's fine, but I'm just saying that's what I think throughout playing these characters. But saying that, I've talked about it in the past, but I'm not really the biggest fan of dual units in general, because I'm personally not the biggest fan of, you know, only having a really amazing OP captain effect during the turns you activate the special, you know, for those 3 turns when they're in their dual form. Like, I much prefer these super type characters where they are consistently having really high multipliers all the time, and that's why I prefer other characters like V3 Law, V3 Sakazuki. These characters that are just god tier captains all the time. You don't have to use their special in order for their captain ability to be upgraded. No, they're amazing from the get-go, which I really do prefer, and that's why I actually kind of do like the super type meta that's coming out. Obviously, not all of these super type characters that are coming out are amazing top tier units, but there are a couple of these units that are pretty interesting to play with, and definitely later on down the line, once we get characters like V3 Boa, the Germa, the Sweet Commanders, and also Luffy Sanji, well, they are dual units specifically, but as a dual unit, in their singular forms, they're already extremely OP. So that's what I like to see, you know, dual units that have base captain effects prior to their combination having actually really high multipliers, and Luffy Sanji actually do that. I'm not really a big fan of Luffy Sanji in the fact that they are a rainbow captain. I think that's a really, really bad idea. I don't like having them release these crazy rainbow captains with really high multipliers with no restrictions. I think it's the most absurd thing ever, but either way, I digress. That's it. That's the breakdown with Snakeman taking on the Revolutionary Army Challenge. So I didn't really talk much about the team in general, but either way, it actually defeated the Revolutionary Army very, very easily. The final challenge for this team is against Whitebeard. So with the Whitebeard challenge, the thing about this team is that the only characters that have slot time reduction are the captains. So unfortunately, our bottom row characters are not going to have any matching orbs by the time we reach the final stage, which isn't that big of a deal because Snakeman himself is going to be hitting extremely hard. And the really cool thing is that when you reach the final stage, your strength characters will get their color affinity completely removed. Well, if your captain is a strength unit, all of your strength units will get their color affinity removed, which means that they actually do more damage against Whitebeard, which is great, right? Even though even if that wasn't a thing, it wouldn't be a problem anyway, because super type kind of mitigates some of that type disadvantage. But either way, having just neutral damage is fine, because we're just going to be hitting both Ace and Whitebeard for the same amount of damage, and it's just going to be pretty easy from there. Now, there was one stage in particular that I was kind of worried about, and that's always going to be the Ezo stage with Fossa, because if Fossa's cooldowns is relatively low, that could be a pretty big problem for this team. But either way, I do actually opt to go ahead and use the Ivankov Bond Clay special, because we don't actually need Ivankov Bond Clay for this fight at all. They're really just here as like a safety net, just in case if we need some health recovery, and they're able to provide that. And right before we take a hit from Fossa, because we do need to stall to ensure that NL is going to be ready by the second last stage, because if he's not, that's going to be a very, very big problem. But we do take a little bit of damage on the Fossa stage. We're just going to be stalling on him for a little bit. And luckily, you know, with the special ability active and all the healing that we're able to do, plus the switch effect of Ivankov Bond Clay with the 20% damage reduction, we are actually able to tank a hit from Fossa, which typically would probably kill most teams, depending on how much health or how much damage reduction your team actually has. So it's really cool that we're able to do that. So we're actually able to stall for a pretty long time, and then obviously once we reach the stage against Jozu, the one after Fossa, we're able to use the Usohachi to remove the defensive effects. We can use the switch effect of Vivi and Rebecca, so that we have Vivi up for type advantage, which is really good. And I don't remember if I use a Luffy special or a Luffy super type. I use one of the two on that stage. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, I do end up using I think it's a Luffy special I use on that stage. And then the stage after that with Marco and Vista, we basically just do whatever we want. We just do some normal attacks, nothing really too crazy there. And then, of course, for the final stage, we have a Luffy super type and a Luffy special with the switch effect of Vivi Rebecca with a 2.5 chain lock. And it's just GG from there. Like, it's actually pretty easy. These super type characters are just extremely strong in terms of their multipliers now. So, you know, as time goes on and they're releasing more super type characters for various typings, it's going to make these GARP challenges just a complete breeze to go through. Now, in terms of future releases, we're probably getting Kid and Hawkins as our next two super type characters. So that's going to be buffing the deck's color a little bit. Unfortunately, on JP, those two characters in particular don't really see too much play. Hawkins and Kid aren't really like super amazing, and the real problem is that the deck's typing just in general is absolutely horrendous, and it's easily the worst color in One Piece Treasure Cruise right now. Despite having some pretty decent characters like Kung Fu Luffy, I still think is not too bad. Kaido is still pretty cool, but if you really look at it, Dex is the worst color in terms of legends and free-to-play units. If you just look at everything, Dex is the worst. They definitely need some sort of support, so I'm hoping that the next batch on JP introduces some really powerful Dex units. That would be really exciting to see. But definitely the next batch on JP is going to be either Dex super types or probably quick super types, or maybe a combination of both. We'll have to wait and see. But that's going to wrap up this video today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. And if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.
Ha ha ha!